So I got sent this effect on my DMs and I was like, how the f does he do that? Then after doing some searching, I found out that D2 Shots use this Shockwave packs from cinepacks.store. So I copped it, downloaded it, and created this. So this effect is a simple 4-step process, being that you want to take your clip and rotoscope it first. I use various different methods, maybe Mocha, maybe Rotobrush 2.0. But the best thing about these Shockwave files is that they don't have a background, so you can just drag and drop them in and they'll be keyed out. Now, if I also just drag the clip in, it's not going to look very nice because it's not motion tracked. So step 2 is to track your subject. Using the tracker window, then finding a point that has good contrast and clicking track forward. Once I had that, I right clicked on this empty space here, created a new null object. And then in the tracker, I went to target, selected the null object, then clicked apply X and Y. Now I can take my Shockwave and where it says parent and link, that squiggly line, I just drag it into the null object. So step 3 is to adjust the Shockwave to the plane of your subject, ideally the same plane of the car. Now this will depend on your scene. As you can see here, I did it in a few different ways, but the best way to do this, you need to firstly check the 3D icon next to the Shockwave clip. Then using the 3D position tool, you can rotate it into place and make sure to match the right plane of the floor. And you can experiment with different ways to do it. Now this effect isn't exactly the most realistic one, but there are some things that we can do to make it look better. Next thing that we need to do is actually kind of color match it a little bit just to match the scene. One easy trick to color match something is taking the clip from the bottom, adding a Gaussian blur, maxing it out, then take the Shockwave and add the effect tint. Then we're going to map black to the darkest color, so like this color here, and map white to the brightest color, so something up here, and then we turn the tint down to 0. Then we can delete the Gaussian blur effect, go to the Shockwave and start to increase the tint. Not too much, something around the 20 to 30 mark. Just kind of dials it back to really match the scene. So this is before the tint, after the tint. Lightwrap. Doesn't look as realistic. It literally just looks like the car is masked on top. So what we're going to do is essentially take the Shockwave that we have and the null object and duplicate it with Control D. And now what we're going to do is take this one up here and make sure that it's parented to the new null object. So just to make sure, I just do that. And then we're going to take those two and we're going to pre-compose them and call this Lightwrap. Now we're going to take the Lightwrap and bring it to the top of the clip. Add the effect Set Matte. So for the Shockwave, let's take the matte from layer and select the car rotoscope as the layer, and then select the source as masks. Now we're going to click Invert Matte, and I'll duplicate that Set Matte and uncheck Invert Matte. Now, if I isolate this by clicking this button, you see we have an outline. But if I just add the effect Channel Blur and drag it in the middle, uncheck the isolation layer. If I start to increase the alpha blurriness, you see the Shockwave starts to bleed into the car. And it kind of helps sell the effect a bit more. It looks like the light from the Shockwave is lighting up the car. But now, just by doing that, you can see it looks a bit more realistic. Now you can experiment with these Shockwave files however way you want, and if you come up with something cool, send it to me on Instagram at CamiCeased to have a chance to be featured in a future Reacts episode. Check the first link in the description below that will take you to cinepacks.store where you can get the same presets. They do a whole bunch of other stuff. If you want a side project, you can check it out below. Massive thank you to all the supporters, and with that being said, I will see you in the next video.